Well, 2016 was certainly an interesting year for converged and hyperconverged systems. We saw significant interest in using these types of systems. In fact, in research we published in early 2016, we saw that more than 80% of the IT managers we surveyed have already adopted or plan to adopt converged and/or hyperconverged systems, at least somewhere within their environments. There's a lot of reasons for this traction, but the big driver is that IT organizations are really looking to attain from their on-premises infrastructures the same levels of speed, agility, and simplicity of management that they can get from the cloud. Now, that doesn't mean the cloud goes away. It certainly has a role. In fact, many IT organizations are looking to build hybrid environments and use the cloud when and where it makes sense for their applications and workloads. And by the way, this doesn't mean that legacy infrastructure approaches go away either. And by legacy, I mean traditional three-tier server, storage, network approaches to building IT. They have a place too. In fact, in that same survey where we saw that 80+% of IT orgs are using or planning to use converged or hyperconverged platforms, we also saw that more than half of those organizations expect to be running primarily in a legacy fashion 5 years out. Because you can't just rip out and replace what you have. It just doesn't work. There's a lot of legacy infrastructure out there that runs great, and it does the job it was installed to do. But given that there's so much legacy installed equipment out there, seeing that nearly 1 in 3 plan to use converged and nearly 10% hyperconverged as their primary approaches to IT 5 years out, that's the beginning of a major shift underway. And we're going to be asking that question again this year, and I do expect to see some significant growth in the plans 5 years out for both converged and hyperconverged, driven by this need for simplicity and agility and elasticity with on-prem resources. Now, converged platforms, they've been out there for a while, and there are thousands of them out there. It's important you understand the big differentiator between converged and hyperconverged systems is that converged systems, they're really more of a hardware packaging exercise with a single support contact and a management software overlay. And hyperconverged systems are really software-defined, and they take away much of the hardware management that you have to do in traditional and converged systems, especially on the storage end of things. I think in 2017, you're going to see the lines begin to blur between converged and hyperconverged systems as converged management software matures and virtualizes more of the hardware stack. And hyperconverged systems provide more hardware isolation functionality to meet Tier 1 performance demands. And it's important to talk about Tier 1 performance demands because there's a perception that hyperconverged systems are more suited to Tier 2 workloads and converged systems to Tier 1 workloads, largely because you can better isolate workloads in converged systems. But I think you'll see converged solutions continue to mature and offer feature sets to make IT more comfortable supporting Tier 1 applications. Much of the IT market is growing at a very slow pace, in fact, sub 2% growth. Hyperconverged is growing very, very quickly, well over 100%, in fact, approaching 150% year over year. As I said, it's a newer market entrant, so the laws of large numbers play a big role here. Hyperconverged is starting from a very small install base, so fast growth is easier to attain, but it's really much harder to maintain. Despite that, expect some hyperconverged platforms to continue to see fast adoption because feature sets are maturing to allow them to address broader workloads. That adoption, it's going to reveal some under-discussed issues with hyperconvergence. For example, at scale, managing many small appliances can be challenging, so hyperconverged vendors will need to address this. And also at scale, networking can be an issue as hyperconverged solutions take all of the north-south traffic and move it to the main communications network. And last but not least, the IT teams that I talk to really are looking to build hybrid environments. But they want management tools that span on and off-prem worlds to get true workload portability. And that's going to be an issue we need to continue to monitor. Fortunately, I work with really smart analysts here at ESG, and I had the chance to talk to some of our other cloud analysts about these issues. Edwin Ewan, who covers cloud and systems management, and Dan Conde, who covers cloud and networking. And I asked them about these networking and workload portability issues. So please take a look at the other video we've posted here to hear their thoughts on that.